Guys, Mark Prt1 with Protect Dog Training, and Ginger, who is going to be going home tomorrow. So your main goal when you first start with foundational puppy type work, and that's what she is to establish your communication baseboard and also to acclimate her towards the outside world, greeting into people, all kinds of things, so she's stable. Because if you leave the dog in a spot where they're not totally secure with themselves and they haven't got enough foundation, and you try to give them back to the owner's not going to know what they're doing, and you got some time to educate them, to get them to come up to speed, and accidents happen. Because what happens is it's all about the perception of the customer. You've heard me talking about that before. Everybody perceives dog training differently, and every dog trainer has a different structure that he does his business at. A lot of these kids started and they have no clue, and they jumble, and then they learn as they go. But there is no set definition of structure of anybody that dog training is in their business, right? Maybe you'll have somebody that's advocating purely positive, or you're having somebody like me that advocates balance, where I use motivational, toys, food, all kinds of praise. You hear my voice going all the time, and then I mix it in with aversive, right? And I put the aversives in the spot that I think that will be beneficial to the animal in regards to her learning and growing and understanding what pressure is out about and how to escape that pressure and how to avoid it in regards to what I'm asking her to do, and then she learns from it, right? When you put that last little thing, I've been talking a lot about aversives, and that last little thing and that mix in of aversive in the right way, you teach an animal how to handle the pressure, right? And I've said it before, I've talked about it, where I'm talking about the child that's being raised by one parent versus another parent, and the child that falls down on the ground and screams bloody murder and acts, and they're just a little sissy. Why? It's how they're being treated by their parent. And when the parent coddles too much, oh, my little baby, oh, you're going to be okay. You see it all the time, right? You'll have a very weak-minded child. Whereas you'll have maybe a strong father in the family, a father figure, and the father figure has a little bit more of an attitude of saying, that life is full of adversity, and we're all going to have to face adversity, and that's part of life in the overall realm of Earth, and the human factor in regards to that, and all animals on God's green earth are affected by consequences, whether they're positive or negative. That's how we all learn, and our brains are very similarly wired. It doesn't mean that a dog can think like I can, okay, and it doesn't mean that a cow has the same thinking process that this animal has, but we all have different drives and what makes us tick, right? And with dogs, that's what we've done. It's called dog psychology. We've figured out what makes a dog tick to get them trained and get them to view the world in a certain way so that they're making good decisions, right? Because if you give a dog the outright freedom and just let the dog be a nut, they're going to make all the wrong decisions. They're going to be doing wrong things, and that's when you end up having the dog have to go to the pound and get put down. It's not the dog's fault. It's the human fault, the human factor within that dog's life. You know, your education is important. So when you pick a dog, I've said it before, you want to try to pick a dog that's not going to be out matching you, especially with these high drive dogs that are for working dogs, right? We see it all the time in working dog circles where people are outmatched. The dog is way too much for them to understand and how to handle, and their lifestyle doesn't mesh with it, right? Lifestyle is important. So if you're 85 years old, you're not going to go get yourself something that's going to be too much like a Mastiff and pull you down the road. You'll pull you on your face and you're going to be in trouble, right? So there's all kinds of things to think about in that regards as far as picking an animal. Ginger, we'll go back to her, is an animal that's just a mixed breed. She's Hind 57, got a big old heart. She's got a little pity in her. But somebody said that she might have melon water. I don't see the melon water. I see the pity. I see maybe some beagle. She doesn't act like a beagle as far as her vocalization, but at the same time, she's, like I said, Hind 57. Who knows what she's got in her? But she is who she is as an individual, right? Good. So back to foundation. Yep. Good. She's going home tomorrow, so we're trying to top her off. Yep, come on. In regards to what she knows, right? Down. She has a rudimentary understanding of downstay. That's going to need to be reaffirmed and done with the owner in the right way. Good. Because in the end, that perception that I talked about earlier of the customer is really a critical factor. And as a trainer, I have to figure out where that person's head's at. How do they perceive what I'm going to give them? And I like to talk about this. I've got a lot of customers over the years that are very well-to-do. And a well-to-do customer that's usually got a lifestyle and very busy, and their lifestyle is compared to what they give the dog, they think that they're going to get a trainer that's going to create a robot. I call it the robot syndrome. So you have that owner that has perspective that that dog's going to be trained to the T and be a robot, and they don't have to do anything because their perception is buying things, right? I go buy a car, if I have a problem, I take it to the mechanic, he takes a bolt out that's busted, puts something back in, it works fine, and we go down the road. Dogs aren't like that. You're dealing with psychology, and you're dealing with a psychology and a perception from the dog to the owner. That dog is going to view each person in that family as an individual, and they're going to treat them accordingly as an individual. So it's usually you'll see one person that's stronger than the other ones. A lot of times it's the male of the house, but it doesn't really matter. It's about the attitude of the relationship between the dog and the owner, right? Or the family members that are in the family. And how that dog treats them is going to be a distinct reflection on what they do after this dog comes home. Because I'll guarantee you, all this time putting into the work, getting the dog to work for me, doesn't mean the dog's going to respect the owner and they don't do the right things. There's a learning curve, right? In the beginning, they won't be doing the right thing, but if they put in the work to come into lessons and start learning and growing with the dog, the dog's behavior in the beginning is going to slide because the owner doesn't know what they're doing. And then with a little bit of time, the owner's knowledge comes up, they start to learn and grow, and now you try to get them to raise as a team, and that's the key, because it's only as good as the person and how much interest and how much passion they put in to getting the dog to be a well-trained dog. I've done the foundation. I will work with that customer and educate them the best that I can. But in the end, it's about their lifestyle, getting off the couch, putting in the work, and having the passion and the interest to get into their animal, right? So, good. I've always got owners. Some of them are good. Some of them aren't so good. So, depends on the owner. Yep. Good girl. Box. Box. Come on. Nope. Come on. Come on, you. Come on. Yeah, good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I right away went to the box. And remember, she has a negative attitude about the box. So what I'm going to do now is do things that she already does well, bring her drive level up and her happiness, then I'm going to flow into the box. I don't know if you noticed it. When I tried to go to the box, she was hesitating. She didn't want to go in because I'm putting pressure on her in that box. Yep. In different areas, right? Yep. My job is to get her through it. Right? But right now, she's very happy and she loves what's going on right now because this is her spot. Nope, nope, come on, come on. Good, come on, nope. She's looking for how she can down. Good girl, good, there you go. And then double, triple rewards, right? You see me, food, 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 food. Right, I've got 3 or 4 pieces in each hand. Yep, good, good. I'm gonna do the same thing. This one's this way, she should do better at that. Good, good. Yeah, good. Another place that the good duration marker is going to come in and mean something to her. Yep. See where my camera sits at, guys. Yep, I thought so. Sorry about that.